What's going on, YouTubeites? Welcome to Lords of the Long Box. Happy new comic book day to you. And when we say new comic book day, it is literally right around the corner because Diamond is going to start doing stuff again. We got a really good show today. We got our friends from coverprice.com going to talk about their site, as well as we have some books we're going to show off for this Friday's auction. So stay tuned.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
Look at that. We got 6 of us. Few of them are lacking hairlines because of the coronavirus. Some of us just got to cover it up because it's growing wild. But thank you guys all for joining us. I got my man, I'm going to say what's up.
What's going on, everyone? Good to see everyone back. Second night in a row. Got a busy week.
Right. Otto from the Grotto, say what's up.
What's up, everybody? I want to give a shout out to our special guest joining us tonight. It's going to be a great show. So I missed last night, but I'm here tonight, baby. I'm ready to go.
Right. Dark Side Jedi, say what's up, Ryan.
Yo, what's up? Glad to have our guest on. Excited to learn more about this awesome website we've been talking about for the last few weeks.
And speaking of which, this show is sponsored by our friends at KRSComics.com. Go to KRSComics.com, use discount code of LOTLB to get 15% off anything in the KRS Comics store, including that gorgeous Phillips hand variant that's dropping tomorrow. So make sure you set your schedules and timers. These things sell out within 5 minutes. Also, show sponsored by our friends at RocketComics.com. They are taking submissions right now for Clayton Crane and as well as Frank Miller and some other cats. So make sure you submit your books. They can tell them the Lords or 3 Men sent you and get 20% off your first pressing order. The show is also brought to you by our friends at the Geeky Swag Shop. Go to Geeky Swag Shop. Use discount code LOTLB to get 15% off anything in the Geeky Swag Shop. And of course, the show is also sponsored by our friends at coverprice.com. Look, what are the chances of that? The Cover Price top 10. You know what, guys? I really enjoyed last week's top 10. Let me shout out to Fatal J for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it, brother. Shout out to everybody in the live chat who can hang out with us, part of your quarantine schedule. I actually went through digging through my long boxes, and I actually have the Grimjack book, the Grim Ghost book, or whatever, those Atlas books, because I actually started buying those when Paramount first announced that they were buying up the Atlas property. So it's good to see that they finally popped. So I'd like to introduce you guys to John and Matt. They are the founders and creators and overall purveyors of all things good on coverprice.com. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, guys.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Just so you guys know, they are pretty close to me, but incredibly far away. They're only probably 25 miles away, but it could take me about 3 hours to get there in LA traffic, man. So we've been working with you guys now for a little bit, and I wanted to bring you guys on and talk about your site, some of your background as much as you can tell without telling any government secrets and everything. But, basically where you guys used to come from as far from a collecting standpoint to where you are now. So, John, Matt, who wants to go first? Give you guys a brief little history of your comic book collecting or I know one of you is more on the collecting side and one is more on the technical side, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, thanks so much for having us on, and it's been so fun partnering with you guys with the top 10 and everything. We think, honestly, we watch it every week and think you guys do such a great job talking through it, and so we appreciate that. But yeah, so Matt and I have known each other for a good couple triple decades now.
You could just say since we were 6.
Since we were 6.
Wow.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I mean, ever since then, we were walking to the bowling alley and the comic book shop, picking up comics, coming back for years, for decades, building up our collections. Matt stayed in it for a while. I dropped off and started doing digital design and web design and stuff like that. For the last 16 years, I was a UX designer and strategist for different companies and built a lot of different websites. And one day, Matt came over to play some games, and he was like, "Dude, you know that NYX number 3 you have?"
Smash
It's like
Brothers, by the way.
It was Smash Brothers, of course. What else would it be? Yeah, Matt came over and was like, "Hey, that NYX number 3, it's like $1,000 book right now," and it just blew my mind, because I was like, how could something in my closet that I love, that I had no idea was even worth anything, be worth something? So started researching it. Matt and I started talking more and more, and eventually we came up with an idea of like, wouldn't it be awesome if you had like a smart collection, something that you could just those 10,000 books in your garage or that one room in your house that your wife is upset that you have filled with comics, and what if you could just know what everything in there is worth? And so we started looking at it. It took us about a year and a half just to build the back end in terms of the algorithms. And since then, it's been live now for about 2 years. And Matt and I, we say we're the heads and the heart of it. Where I'm the brain of the business side of it and the design, and Matt's the heart of the comic book side of it, because he knows pretty much everything there is to know about comics.
We should have known, because Matt's got a short box like right over his shoulder, right there. He's got the setup.
This is like, I can't. I gotta keep finding places to put boxes. You know.
There you go.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
We joked on our show that it was funny watching so many like newscasts and shows where people are doing things remotely now. We're like, oh, these rookies, look at them. They got bad Wi-Fi, horrible sound, and this is our local news. This is awful. Matt, when we talked on the phone, our initial talk, you had talked about how you had been collecting and part of some collector groups in the past. Why don't you give us a breakdown and history of where you got?
Yeah. My history is tied in entertainment. I've always been in entertainment and always known as the comic book guy. I've shopped The Walking Dead around before that was picked up, and tried to bring in a bunch of Top Cow books, try to get Witchblade and Darkness brought in. I mean, a slew of books. Everything that's been picked up, we've touched. Like Umbrella Academy was in our hands at one point. So that kind of sidetracked into my love of comics, digging for comics, looking for comics. I joined, the early days of CBSI, back when it was a
Google Plus
30-person G Plus. I think it was number 42 on that, in that thing. And we just started. It kind of snowballed. Then I started writing a day after report for CBSI. Still doing it today, except there's no new books right now. And it just, you keep, because of these groups, you share books. I like the G Plus format because you would share a book and everyone would just jump on that one book. You can talk about that one post about that one book. Facebook I think it's a little hard to do these days. But through those exchanges, your world explodes into like books you weren't aware of. I mean, I remember talking about Artgerm for the first time with Batgirl number 12. And they're like, hey, this cover is really cool. Who's this Artgerm guy? And then everyone was looking for that cover, and then it just spun off into a fervor,
I remember the days of Google Plus because I had joined CBCI, I think I want to say like 3, maybe 4 years ago. And this is when Google Plus was as big as I guess it was ever going to get, right? And then at one point,
it got big, yeah.
There was comic book groups popping up all over the place, right? It was Google's way of trying to get into Facebook's world, as for you kids who don't remember Google Plus. And then the day they announced they were going to stop supporting Google Plus is kind of like it kind of left off. And then I forgot about CBSI for a while. Then they came back, and then I've always been part of the Instagram community of comic books since about 2012 because it was a great format where you could just take a picture of a comic and show it, but you don't have that same community interaction that you had on Google Plus. Nowadays it's YouTube that does a lot of that, and that's where we kind of fit in there as well. And so I wanted to bring you guys on because it's one of those features. Like I try to compare it. Probably the closest thing in comparison is the COZ app, right? But the COZ app is not nearly as nice as Cover Price. And John, hats off to you for putting whatever you did underneath the hood on that, because the interface is just so cool. You find little trinkets every day. Like the other day, I found the diamond button. On it,
nice.
Right? Because I was putting in my Silver Surfer number 4 8.0, and I go, ooh, I got a diamond. All right, then now we're cooking. The question I want to ask, and I think a lot of people have asked this in the past, is I try to explain it as well as I can that our weekly top 10 is based strictly on sales from the week before. And what can you guys tell us, where exactly are you guys compiling the sales data from? You guys don't need to give us the exact algorithms, but exactly maybe what sites and maybe how many points of data, perhaps a week or a day you're pulling?
Yeah, of course. So right now, the whole idea of Cover Price was to save everybody time from having to go to like 3 or 4 different online marketplaces to compare prices. I mean, it takes what, like 15-20 minutes almost to like look through each one, compare, find the average, go to another one. Is it selling more over here? Is it selling more over here? So we figured, let's just aggregate it all, bring it all together. So we're pulling from 5 major online marketplaces: eBay, My Comic Shop, Comics Connect, Heritage, and what's the other one? Comic Link. And so we're bringing them all together. We pull about every day about 15 to 20,000 sales, which comes out to almost like 200 to 200,000 comic book actual sales data each week. Our whole thing was, there's so much speculation in the space, and everyone has an opinion about what comics going to be worth. It'd be nice to actually go off the data and just be completely data driven. So Cover Price literally gathers hundreds of thousands of data points, buckets it, assigns it to everyone's comic book, all the different variants, and from there, that makes it sound so easy.
Doesn't sound easy at all to me.
Thank God.
No, I mean, we spent years trying, just before we launched it, just trying to clean this up and going back and forth on like, it'd be nice if we did this, we went back and forth. Should we put a grading scale for RAWs? And like, we can't bucket it properly right now. We can't do that right away. Okay, we got to put that on the back burner. We got to do a high, medium, low. There's all these things that we discussed, just the little nuances of how to build this site. And that involves a good year and a half of teaching our developers about the nuances of comic books, telling them, this is a second print. This is a second print variant. This is an incentive variant. This is a retailer incentive variant. This is a convention variant. I mean, it was
cans,
or newsstand and direct versus direct stand and things like that.
No, that's a Whitman. That's a Canadian newsstand.
That's got the Mark Jewelers insert, right? That's got
the purple Mark Jewelers insert. That was in '86, not '85. It's just the nuances of collecting comic books is, we're in it, so we know it. But trying to teach someone who is not in that world, I mean,
and what I find the most helpful and what sets you guys apart from a lot of the sites that I've seen and have used is your raw data, your raw.
Well, that's
pricing. That is so helpful.
Well, the one thing we have hard numbers, and I think we shared recently, like we have a hard number where it shows, I think it was like 93.9% of all the sales that have come in are raw.
Yeah.
So that means that people are doing graded. It's such a tiny, tiny, tiny market.
Right.
But everyone looks at those graded prices because they're bigger, they're sexier, and just because, if you want a graded book, you need to look at, is it worth it, especially for moderns?
And I know there's some questions in the live chat about raw grading sales, and I always say it's tricky because the grade of the comic is up to interpretation by the seller and the buyer. So that's why it's always better to get sales data off of graded books.
It's safer.
Right. Because somebody can say it's a near mint copy and you buy it off eBay and you get it and it's a VF copy. So I meant and
it is, I mean, raw graded prices is a swamp. And we spent years trying to clean that swamp up in the best way possible. Just set a little house in that swamp and make it look presentable.
Put it on stilts. There you go.
Put it on stilts and get it out of the mud. And I think we did a good job. We spent, when we launched, a lot of our data was clouded with original art. So you'd see like X-Men 1, the Jim Lee book, was suddenly worth $1,000. Or we're like, okay, this is the problem. We got to now. We would then go through the system and teach the system to ignore all those sales. And every time we did that, the site gets smarter and smarter and smarter. Even now, when we say, okay, when you're looking at this variant, especially let's take Spider-Man 1 McFarlane, the 1992 book. That has like 7 different colors: chromium,
platinum, silver,
gold, silver, and then there's newsstand variants. So we taught the system to ignore, when you're looking at this newsstand, ignore the word direct, ignore the word gold, ignore the word So we teach the system on how to sift through those raw sales.
And I would imagine sketch covers as well, right? Where they
Oh,
people
sketch
get
covers.
Oh yeah,
And-
I didn't even think about those. God.
And,
Yeah,
and
it's-
every time we do this, it gets smarter and it gets better and more streamlined. So, I mean, it literally day by day, it's a better site than it was yesterday.
And
And just
talking
one thing-
about variants, you guys have those variants shown and the covers, what they look like, Canadian price variants, you know, A and B cover variants, etc.
Well, somebody was in the live chat was asking, showing pictures, and I'm going to tell you guys this: when we do our weekly top 10, this is taken right off. These are graphics made by John and Matt, and they send it to us. And basically, when you go to the site, this is what it looks like. And what's better is you can actually click on the sales trends to see like how many are going. And I just want to show off this book because
Yeah, show that off.
Yeah.
Somebody might have that in the auction tomorrow night.
Well, I think I wrote in the blurb. I'm like, that's an undervalued book. Why that only going for $250 for a 9.8 right now is
on
crazy.
this one, right?
On Secret Wars, yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah, very.
I have a
undervalued.
9. I have a 9.8, and I'm keeping that one. But I found 2 of these in my long box today because I bought them when they first got spec'd when Paramount announced this. So I was like, I am keeping these. But these graphics, I mean, the sales data on is great. We are working with our friends to. We're gonna do. Was it 4 subscriptions or 6? I forgot.
4.
We're going to do 4
4
6-month subscriptions to coverprice.com when we hit 4,000 subs right around the corner. So you can use the site right now. Can you guys tell us what the pricing is now? And I remember there was some stuff that you guys were going to be launching going forward. Maybe you guys can speak to that a bit on the different pricing and the points that you're going to be doing.
Yeah. So one thing I think about us is that we're small and nimble. I mean, we really want to be just the best resource for comic collectors out there. And we just put out a member survey. And so we always collect data. We try to incorporate it. And one thing that we heard was that the price point of $8.95 a month wasn't really affordable for everybody. And some people were actually having to make kind of tough choices because they're like, when it comes to like all the other things I'm involved in and bills and stuff, I just can't afford it. So we decided as a company to kind of make it a little bit more manageable. So we just changed it. And so for standard level, and so first there's a free trial, 10 days free trial. And you can also choose at the end of that just to be a free member, which gives you you can look up 5 comics a day and have like a limited amount in your collection. But after that, for $2.95, you can do the standard, which is unlimited price guide. You can look up any price you want as many times as you want, no problem. But there's a limit on some of the lists that you see and a limit on how many you can add to your collection.
Yeah.
But then we have our unlimited level, which is for $6.95 a month, right? So we went down a few bucks. And that's unlimited collection size, unlimited lookups. But if you want to go even cheaper, for the best deal, you can do the year one, right? So that's $60, which comes out to like $5 a month. And so, I mean, you have full access to the site. We think that's super affordable.
I think it's beyond super
$2.95,
affordable.
so
I got to interrupt here. I got to say, as a collector, right? As a collector, for me, for $60 a month for all, I was almost late for the show, you guys, because I was on the site digging on books and looking at prices for tomorrow.
Fell down the rabbit
every
hole.
week, by the way. He says
Yeah,
that
not
every
later.
week.
But listen, I mean, as collectors, between what we buy for the cases, what we buy, like I buy slab stands for my books, I buy this, I buy that. For $60 to have a good reference for your collection, I think is a deal of the day, you guys. So I mean, take my money.
I'm gonna tell you what,
please.
man. $8.95 is the size of a large latte at Starbucks. Okay,
Yeah.
so I meant, but it's not everybody's. That's their cup of coffee. For a really bad pun, but I think in this day and age, and I'd like to talk to the folks about, and a lot of folks don't know this, but you guys don't have a mobile app, but it's the mobile-based browser is almost practically. I use that, to be honest with you. I use it on my phone more than I do on my computer. So I mean, for the people who ask, will there ever be an app? What would your answer to that be?
Yes,
A mobile app.
So for our strategy to launch was get this in many people's hands as possible. And that literally was a responsive website. So the responsive website, I'm kind of in the sun right here.
Mine came in too. Oh, on this side right here.
Oh, I see what that is. But anyway, so we are going to have a mobile app, but right now the site is mobile responsive. The mobile app has to come in the future just because, frankly, we needed members and more money to build it. And so that's what we're kind of working towards.
And to that point, there's features that we want to build into the app that wouldn't be on the site. So that make it, your hunt for comics a little quicker and fun, a little, to gamify it a little bit.
Oh, there's so much gamification options with comics. It's insane. Like you said, you found that little diamond. Imagine you're using like a image scanner. All of a sudden it goes bing, you found a rare find. Now imagine you'd be able to share that with other people. Like there's so many little things that it's almost like
using like a barcode scanner, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, he means actual image scanning of the actual comic cover.
Like either one,
that's why even have humans anymore? Hey, I'm a robot out to go shopping.
No barcode scanners.
No barcode.
So one other thing is back to the thing about signatures on slabs. Now, is that feature going to be changing? Good Lord, they're racing in front of my house. Is that because I noticed obviously it's hard to price point signatures because they kind of vary, right? I mean, unless you're Stan Lee, unfortunately he's no longer with us, but on the signature side, do you guys assign any type of monetary value to any type of signature, or you just merely mark it as being signed as a yellow label?
Right now, we're not bringing in signed books. They are in the system. They're all in the back end, quarantined away. It's something we want to add in down the road, but right now is like we can't mix it in just because you can't have. It's a little hard. It gets a little muddy, especially signatures like. How the signature is, was there a sketch on it? How many people signed it? I mean, unless you're Adam Hughes, who signs everything the same way consistently, we could put Adam Hughes and McFarlane books in there pretty like we could do McFarlane signatures for Spawn. That's pretty steady.
Very neat, because the way they're written. Can you imagine trying to do Stan Lee's over the years? Because how it deteriorated and degraded as he got older and older.
Depending on what kind of marker he used or something.
Or if you did a little stickman drawing on some of those.
Or even those guys who go out and get like an inker, the penciler, the writer, like 7 signatures on a slab.
So imagine it this way, like a waterfall, right? And you have the full flood of all the sales coming through. Then you go, of that flood, here's the standard cover, and here's all the variants. So now your water's like spread out, hitting the rocks or whatever. Right. And then of that, one little drop is signature for that comic.
Now let me ask you this. Now, all of us here have been involved one way or the other, good or bad, with the CGC forums. They're kind of we'll just leave it at that. We'll just it's a bit toxic in there, and it's like the old. They're like a click mentality, and so
like Craigslist in there.
Yeah. Is there any type of social media thing built into Cover Price where you guys are going to think about doing a community forum where people can discuss things? Is that anything in the future?
We have so many plans to integrate the community. The one thing is in terms of bandwidth. Like right now, so much of our time is spent making sure the prices are as accurate as possible. That the moment we do a forum, it needs moderation, it needs more stuff.
Screw that. Stick with the pricing. We don't need no forums.
It takes me half a week just to write the newsletter, so it's like
it's insane. But if anybody listening is interested in helping us moderate or volunteering or anything like that, please let us know. Reach out at john@coverprice.com and we'll get back to you and look, because we want forums, we want engagement and all that stuff. It's just a bandwidth issue at this point. But we definitely see, we're not going away anytime soon. We're going to be around. The 10-year plan is like the ultimate collector resource for every aspect of your collection, comic book lore, comic book interests, forums, just everything like that. So we'll get there.
Just to tie into it, like we grew up on Wizard, and we knew the power of there wasn't anything I look forward to more than going to the back of the book and going to the
top 10, right?
Guide. I want to say I just bought this book. I just bought Spawn. How much is it worth now?
Let's test your knowledge. Do you remember what the colors were for the prices going up, going down, and what the hot books were?
Oh, man.
So it was yellow, red, and I think blue.
Yeah, the blue was
down, right?
Yeah.
So that's like I would not give I would not care about any of the stuff in the front. I would go straight to the back. I would look at the top 10, and then I'd go through the price guide to look at the books that I had. And I'll take it back even further. When I was a kid collecting in the 80s, I couldn't afford an overstreet price guide. My price guide was looking inside the comics at the Mile High, advertisement, remember? And seeing how much they were selling books for. I was like, that's my price guide, is Mile High. Now, as an adult, I was thinking, my God, Mile High is awful. The pricing they do is just awful. Let me ask you this. Since you guys are launched now, you got us helping you guys out. You guys are blowing up. How many subscribers or members, unique members do you have to coverprice.com?
In terms, so every month, I mean, like in terms of unique page views, we're getting.
I'm sorry, I just remembered you're an IT guy. So when you think you're thinking unique visitors as opposed, I was thinking like registered users. I guess let me put it that way.
Got you. I got you. Right now we have about just shy of 3,000 active members, and of those, a portion are paying versus free. We think that hopefully the new price tier will get more people to just realize that like even $295 a month is a good price point to just jump in. But yeah, I mean, right now we're at about almost 3,000 active members, and then of that, a portion of it is the paying member. We're growing every month over month. It's been growing. I think the problem that we have is just getting our word out. So much of we're product people. So we like building good stuff and good usable kind of experiences. But the marketing part is what we're working on now. And everyone listening, if you guys tell a friend or tell 10 people, then hey, then we'll be able to build more cool stuff. So
and
we have been. Yeah, go ahead.
People always come up to me and they're like, "Why don't you share the information that you know? You know these books are optioned. Why don't you just share it and use that to bring people into your site?" Like, because we don't want to push people into books. That's
right.
That's it. We don't want to tell people. We will never tell people what to buy.
That's a slippery slope. That's for sure.
Just to put out there, like our job has to be, people have to trust us. And when you start looking at the values and stuff like that, that's why we're just data. We don't have speculation in terms of like what we're trying to push or anything like that. It's just data, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We don't want to be involved in any of that kind of discussion or stuff like that. People can come to Cover Price as the source of information, and then have a discussion from that.
It's a great tool for speculation.
Yeah, and that's what we tell people, that this is, and that's why we do it a week, 3 days after the week has already progressed, because we're showing you this is real-time data. This is history. This isn't anything that we're telling you may pop. This is already popped, and and what's interesting was we started this list right before Diamond stopped bringing in new comics. And my guess was, I was telling people, man, this is a really bad timing for DC, because that Hell Arisen and Batman 89 books right now could have really used the push of new comics. And to its credit, Hell Arisen #3 is still on the top 10.
It has not left every week. Yeah.
Well,
my guess is it's gonna get hot again. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh no, sorry. Go for it.
No, my guess is that when they start coming out again and we get that Joker 80th anniversary issue that has the origin of Punchline, I think Hell Arisen and 89 are gonna jump again. But that's our opinions. That's not coverprice.com.
Well, they also just, I think in that first new issues or first week, May 20th, Hell Arisen 3 third printing is coming out again. So that's one of the main books they're pushing out again. So
and kind of what's interesting is how your road and our show's road met and collaborated was I have some insiders that give me scoops that we do going back since last year called the Black Knight Report, and my friend Mikey Sun gave me scoops. So when we were talking about Punchline coming, we actually got an insider scoop from DC that the executives of Warner Brothers are like, we want to reserve Punchline to be used for the DCEU. And we were reporting on a different day of the week that your show was, because we don't want to commingle the two, you know what I mean? So it's it's fun when we actually reported on some of those Atlas books 8 months ago too, and then to see them on the top 10, it's kind of cool when something we've done as a long-term spec shows up on there. It's kind of like the convergence of Lords of the Cover Price.
Right, totally. Well, back in the CBSI days, I kept telling people, like, look, the number one book you want to buy right now is Young Adventures, because it's like that book has so much potential down the road. And then to see it keep coming up every 6 months because of some rumor, it's nice to see, the stuff that you're talking about actually turning into a valid spec.
Well, that's the cool thing is Matt's been doing the end of year. So at the end of each month, he looks about a year in the past and looks at how stuff is doing now. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, we're finding a lot of interesting trends, I think.
We try to take the opportunity to educate people in the newsletters where we can't really, because since we don't have straight a direct dialogue on the site, we try to take the opportunities to educate people about, specific events in the industry, like the formation of Image, like we've talked about a graphic fantasy, the first appearance of Youngblood, and like why Youngblood 1 is a really important book. It's a worthless book essentially, but it's one of the most important books in all comic books.
I actually have why it's important, because I actually have one of them. I have the Youngblood #1 that came out at Golden Apple Apple Comics in LA. I actually have
I have one of those.
I have the one with this. I still have the COA on it. I mean, it's a $5 book, but it is a part of comic book history.
Yes.
But I don't lie. I really like Youngblood back then. Yeah, the launch day book.
So
people don't even
fun.
Yeah.
Golden Apple did a whole series of launch day books, and this is where I get into my little rants. They had a whole series of first day launch books, and they had it stamped and signed by each of the creators. So there was one for every one of those books. So that series of books is what I collected like 5 years ago. So I have the Max, I have Spawn, and that's the stuff I love is those
Stormwatch, Weapon Zero, all the.
I have a bunch of Youngbloods. I have a bunch of. It was like those early day launch books because they're a piece of history.
I interviewed Bart Sears the other day. I'm going to put it on the channel probably tomorrow. And Bart Sears did the Brutes and Babes portion of Wizard Magazine to how to draw. And Bart Sears came right at that time where the time of the superstar artist. Prior to that, comics were more writer driven as opposed to art driven. And right in the late 80s, 90s, Todd McFarlane and the rest of the cast that formed Image is when the artist kind of took over and was the main person who nobody knows who wrote some of these, but everybody knows who the artists were. I mean, to a point where like Todd McFarlane didn't write a lot of those early issues of Spawn, but everybody knew who drew them, right? Maybe you only heard of Neil Gaiman or somebody else, but I mean, it's such a visual medium that it kind of went flip the circle. I mean, we could probably talk about this for 3 hours, how Valiant kind of brought the storylines in where Image was doing strictly just the visuals. And, as 19, 20-year-old boys, we didn't care about the story. Sometimes we're like, just give us the supervillains, the superheroes, and the babes, and that's how it went. And I think also I'm kind of curious on like on your website when you guys do the actual comics themselves, like some of the older ones, where do you guys just go out and say, I need to find the best copy of this Batman number 34 that I can find because there's just none in existence?
In terms of like the images or the
the image for when you look for a book on your website.
Oh, it's lots of digging. It's going through old sales. Sometimes they're copies that we own, and I take a snapshot of it and put it up. Because my specialty is oddities. I love misprints and
recalledcomics.com. Yeah.
I mean, and we also have like a whole, everyone who has a collection on Cover Price is very passionate about having it represented in full. So we have Is Something Missing feature. So they can submit their comic, they can submit a URL to the link, they can submit an image of the comic that they want. So if we kind of
a rare book, yes, send it.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask is, so if the rarity that somebody finds, they look for their book and it's not there, then they could just leave a note on there. Is there the email? Or I was on the website the other day, and to be honest with you, I've never had anything I couldn't find, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough.
Don't scratch the surface.
I'm like, wait a second, let me find this radioactive black belt hamsters. And see.
One thing I wanted to mention was I liked what you were saying, Matt, about like the year in review stuff. I find that really interesting because especially with something like comics, and we talked a lot about spec and stuff like that. The comic, you really got to be realistic, and you look back in a year ago and this book was hot, and then you look at it a year later and you're like, yo, we really were wrong about that book. And I think that's kind of important too, and it shows it's important to the hobby. Too many people want to ride or die these books, like they wrote them and create them, and I think you have to really be honest about yourself. Like, we thought that book got hot and it dumped. That's the hobby, man. And I actually really find that stuff interesting.
Oh, totally. And there's an education in it. Like, I think some of the problems with a lot of other like newcomers is they get burned out really fast, because if you buy the same book that everyone's buying at the same time for max market price, you're going to get burned out because you're going to be sitting on 10 copies that you overbought. And overpaid for. And we try to educate people. It was like, okay, let's look at Naomi. Last year Naomi was hitting $150 raw, and now it's doing $40, which granted is still really good for a new character and a new book. Everyone thinks that book is trash now, but it's still a valuable book. it just settled down. So
Yeah,
it's
So
good luck
now's the time
finding
to
that
buy
book
your
in the
one
shop.
copy, right? Like if you don't have that in your collection,
right.
now's the time to go get it.
For sure. If you just would have waited through that rush, you could have got it for a reasonable price.
Oh,
And
come
that's
on now. Now you're talking crazy. Patience and collecting? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It's like we don't want to tell people don't buy that book.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell them when the best time to buy a book. And it's sometimes like there is a speculator side of me that I have to try and turn off sometimes because I try to not tell people when a good time to sell. But we have talked about around knowing the option process and the entertainment process. There are best times to buy and sell when news comes out, when a trailer hits, when the film is launched or a TV show is launched. There are optimal times to both sell and buy. And if you kind of learn those waves, you'll save yourself money. You'll own the book that you want for a reasonable price. And eventually, what we all like to do is it's worth something. It's worth more than we paid for. And that's kind of the goal I think we all like to have in our collection.
Right.
Have this book that we love that we can now, even if it's theoretical. Like I have tons of books that I never sell because, it's worth something, but it doesn't. It's just fun to theorize,
And I think most collectors, that's sort of the strategy for like the collectors like us who've been around for a long time is you want to make money on book X so you can sell it and buy that grail you wanted in your personal collection. That's kind of the game plan. I mean, at least that's what I do.
I'm trying to retire shit. Straight up. I'm trying to
You better
retire.
find some action comics.
Rare books that, sometimes you overpay for it because it's the only one out there. Or it's super rare. Like, I mean, there was a book that I wanted. My favorite rare book is a Mission Impossible 1 with the Tom Cruise insert. Just because it's such a fun story of like Tom Cruise didn't like how he thought he looked too feminine, so he made Marvel scrap it. And so that book is one of my favorites just because I like the story attached to it, right? And it's a really hard book to find. And that's the book that I sought out for, and I paid for it just because I wanted that. But in those cases, I think it's fine to overpay. But if you're overpaying for a hot new character, you're going to get burned out. And that's we're trying to educate people so they don't get burned out. We want them to become collectors, and we want them to, we all sell our books, and it just goes back into books. It goes, that money just goes into more comics.
What I try to tell people is the cliche is kind of correct or apt for the comic book collecting industry is one man's trash is another man's treasure. And that's not necessarily trash, but let's say I'm Eminem, and Eminem is a huge comic collector.
Yeah.
Eminem can spend $25,000 on a book and not think about it, where a lot of us will save our entire lives to buy that one grail. So sometimes things are just crazy. Collect within your means, get what you can, enjoy what you can. We always talk about FOMO. Sometimes, we do a collector series where you're like, you got to just enjoy yourselves. And sometimes you have to have a plan. Sell X to buy B, sell A to buy B, and so on and so forth. And I think the coverprice.com is a great tool. I think you guys are going into a great direction. I don't want to keep you guys any further. So John or Matt, if you have any last words, I have
one quick question. It came up in the live chat. Someone had a concern about transferring their collection if they're using a different site.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Is there an easy way to do that?
Yeah, so we're currently building an importing and exporting feature because we think it's only fair if you're going to put your stuff, take the time to put your stuff into our collection, you should be able to export it. So we're going to be building that. It's challenging, to be honest, but right now what we're offering is if any of you want to import your collection and you're an unlimited member, send us a CSV file or hit me up at the email john@coverprice.com, and we'll get that imported for you manually our way.
And I'd like to say I guinea pigged it, and it worked pretty good.
Good.
You didn't tell me when it was going to go through. So one day I'm going on there and I see this giant number just pop up. And I'm like, okay. For those who don't use it, they also assign kind of similar to a stock portfolio where you kind of see an overall number. And I was like, one day it it was one day it was like 500. Then the next day I'm not going to brag or anything, but I'm just saying it went up a lot. But so there you go. If you
that's the one thing, you get to see the trends of your own collection, which is one of our biggest features is you get to see the trends of your own collection. And the other fun thing to note is that if you come and go through your subscription, let's say you want to pay for it 1 month and you can't afford it the next month, your books never go away. So like if you do import them and you've been building it up for years, it's there. We're never kicking it out. It's never going away. It's there. So it's it offers people that flexibility. So even if you want to test it out, we ask people to just do just that. Come.
So I will tell you guys this: if you guys want to Google export CLZ database, and they tell you how to do it to get yourself the CSV file, and then you can send. It's not as big of a file as you think because it's a text file. So if you have a 5 megabyte file, your CLZ is gigantic. There's, you know what I mean? The files are pretty small because they're basically a text file. So, and it worked out pretty well. If email John at Cover Price, I think John, there's some certain criteria they have to do on the export tool.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, I'll let you know when you email me, but basically, just to make sure that you have the title of the comic, the issue number, the year of the series or the issue. If it's a variant, if it's signed, any of that other information, but there's certain criteria that we have to have, otherwise we just can't match it. So right now our beta tool is kind of performing at like anywhere between 70 to 90% accuracy of match rate. So you are going to get some back, but if you have a 10,000 book collection, wouldn't you rather have like 80 to 90% put in, automatically? That's what we're trying to get to. We realize that representing someone's collection and having it in full is the most important thing. So a lot of our resources are now kind of being put towards improving that aspect of our feature. But yeah.
Plus, you can show off to your friends, man. Take a screenshot and say, "Look at what I got." Boom.
Oh, that's a good idea. That'd be a good idea.
I mean, that's one aspect we want to do is that ability to share your collection, because that's the one thing I miss the most of G Plus. Is just taking screenshots of your books and just like, hey, I bought this today.
You know what? A share feature like for one book, I like say to an Instagram post, like Regrand or something that does that. Yeah. That would be awesome.
I mean, that's the stuff we want to build in some of the things that made the community stronger and fun, and sharing those posts. What was nice about the G Plus days was there's all these books you weren't aware of, and that's how you kind of like now I could years under me of like going through comics, like my favorite thing to do is dig through a long box just because I know everything in my head is all there. The site's already built into my head. And you can just pick out all those books just because you've seen all these covers thousands of times.
Muscle memory. It's muscle memory. And we were just talking about the other day. It's a great point, Matt, is when you see a certain book over and over again, you see it out in the wild. You're like, I need to get this. I don't know why, but everybody else is getting it. So you could go to Cover Price and I'll tell you it's the first appearance. So let me ask you this before ending. I know this season is pretty much a crapshoot for con season, but in 2021, you guys thinking about setting up any shows and having a booth for Cover Price or anything on that kind of nature?
Yeah. If anybody wants to split a booth with us, let us know. To be honest, we'd be down.
Go for it, John. Sorry.
No, I was going to say we'd be down, but we don't have anything to show except the website. We probably would be. We're always at the conventions, especially West Coast stuff, because we're out here. But
I'll see you guys at WonderCon then.
Yeah, you were going to.
My favorite show.
I'm going to try to get to San Diego. I was promised Hall H this year, so I'll be going to San Diego. I'll never go to San Diego Comic-Con unless I can get the Hall H, and hopefully with all the. WonderCon is almost it was last April, so it was supposed to be. So I'm pretty sure.
I was really bummed. It's literally my favorite show.
It's my favorite show too. Yeah, and
it's because it's like industry focused like San Diego Comic Con, but it's definitely comic focused. Like there's all these retailers there. You can find. I mean, the best stuff. I love digging. It's literally one of my favorite things to do. Just because it's fun. When you find this book that's worth $50, $100, and you bought it for $1, that, you get that itch, right?
And those days are very far and in between nowadays.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is really hard because everybody is. Oh man. So you guys are kind of to blame or to take credit for it because
Damn you.
But to answer your question about cons, like a lot of them, we spend that time running around meeting with publishers, trying to figure out partnerships down the road. Like, how can we help promote your books? What kind of giveaways can you. So a lot of those are like relationship times, going and also going to the retailers and just introducing ourselves to the retailers there.
Although it was pretty funny, the last for WonderCon, the very first retailer booth Matt saw, I was like, Matt, okay, let's focus. Let's we're gonna talk to some people. And Matt always organizes all the conversations. He saw this one booth and I couldn't pull him away for about a couple hours. I had to go sit down, go grab breakfast.
Okay, so this is like John always complains because the collector, the digger side of me always kicks in. The first booth we walk into is a dollar bin booth, right? It was loaded with variants. And so it was pulling out, and not just like regular variants. It was like the 1 in 200, 1 in 300.
The high ratio stuff. There you go.
Geez.
And it was like someone pulled out a third claw Wolverine variant, and someone pulled out Campbell Psylocke 510. It was. I was not going to leave that booth.
So there you go. If you ever see Matt at a show, follow him because he knows where he's digging. So guys, I want to thank you for coming on. Every Tuesday, we got the Cover Price Top 10. Also, right now, if you go to their site, I put the link in there. If you fill out the survey, you get an opportunity to win a Batman the Damned #1. Is that a raw copy or a slab copy?
Jim Lee variant, raw copy.
Okay, and also check out their Instagram. They're on a daily basis, they're putting out cool posts about historical comics. They do some. They're friends with our friends at KRS Comics. They were doing some giveaways for Chris as well on KRS Comics. So there you go. We're all interconnected.
Great partners.
Yeah.
And check out our newsletter. If anything, sign up for the free version. Read our newsletters. You get a lot of good information.
It's
the
fun.
Newsletter is great because I don't want to give out too much information, but most of that stuff is already on there by the time we talk about it on Tuesday.
It literally takes us about like 20 hours for Matt to write it and for me to edit it. And then a pint of blood, I think. You have to chop off your little finger each time or something. I don't remember. It's a lot of work.
Said to me one weekend, "You love Cover Price more than us," and I was like, "No, that's not true."
So make sure you follow them. Their social media, the Instagram and the Twitter are Cover Price without the E. Cover Price, and that's it. Just look for them. They're on Twitter, on Instagram. They do some great stuff. John, Matt, thank you for coming aboard. Great partnering up with you. I hope we do a lot more stuff, man. And thanks, guys. Keep digging in them long boxes.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys, that was a great interview. We got the man, that was a lot. You know what? Now we know, man. So 5 different points of data that we're taking. Great guys, man. It's glad to see them because they do a great job, and you can tell that they're hardcore comic book collectors.
They're passionate, man.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we have an auction. Yes, an auction going on Friday. Who wants to show off first?
Man.
All right, I got the stack. Let's go. I'm going to show off a few things.
Pull it out,
I got-
Otto.
Pull it out,
we're
Otto.
gonna
Show us
so
what you got.
I got a few things, but so I pulled out some slabs. I pulled out some things that don't fit my collection anymore. And I pulled out some raw books.
Wait, really quick, shout out to Nerd Vision for the $7 super chat from Canada.
Nice.
Speaking of which, Nerd Vision, all my Canadian friends out there, you want to tune in tomorrow because I'm gonna have Ken Lashley and Word Burglar on, man. We're gonna do a Lords of the North takeover.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. The True North, right?
Yeah.
All right. So some of the books I got, you guys, I pulled out, and I'll give the descriptions maybe on Instagram or stuff like that. But I've got a nice Thor 134 raw copy, first appearance of High Evolutionary. I'm gonna let that go. I might pair that up with a nice copy of Iron Man #3. I'm letting this book go, and I'll tell you guys, I should be patient, and I should have this slab. But
is this by itself or part of a lot?
no, this will be by itself, and maybe I'll stack on it. But
Stack 'em, black 'em, jack 'em.
this is, I just want to see though that the bottom, it's a little bit of a cut right there, but other than that, the spine is perfect. There's no creases. If I had more patience, I would definitely send this in and expect 9.8 on that. I got some raw X-Men books, as I always do. And I've got a little lot right here. This is all going to go together. 127, a 129, and then 130s, I got 134, 135, 137. So that's going to be one whole lot. The 129 is the nicest of the copies. I'm going to say if you were to grade it, the 129 would probably be somewhere around the 9. I got some other X-Men books. I've got a Hulk variant that I'm going to go with. I've got a Spider-Man book that's slabbed.
So we're not going to show you everything. We're going to
Nope.
keep you guessing with some price. Shout out to Sydney Hale for the $5 super shot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Also, I want to shout out Justin Vera, our friend. We all know Erod. We go back with Erod for since 2015, 2016. So Erod's son says, "Hey, Dad, you ever heard of these guys, Lords of the Long Box?" And Erod goes, "Dude, those are the homies from back in the day." So shout out to Erod's son, Justin Vera. Erod's son is 30 years old. Do you know Erod was 54?
No, I do. He told me that when I said I thought I was a little older.
No idea. I go, how old your son? And I was thinking like he's 15-year-old kid. He's like, he's 30 years old. I go, damn. But shout out Erod and his son Justin Vera, man, fan of the Lords of the Long Box. Go ahead, Otto.
No, nothing. I was just showing some books. I've got X-Men 211, 212 to let go as a pair. Nice copies. Threw out a Captain America slab. I got some Eternals books. Maybe 2, 3, and 4 is a lot. And I got maybe a 9-2. X-Men 129, who knows? So I'm not going to go into too much other detail, but those are some of the books I'll be bringing.
I'll go next, man, because I have shit strewn about my
You strewed shit.
I'm strewn, dude. I'm strewn. Let me adjust the mic. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna sell this. Dude. This is the OG.
That's it.
This is all issues 1.
I love that.
Through 15. This is basically
this is what I used before Google.
Is 1 through 12 is A through Z, and then I also have the ones what featured the Book of the Dead.
Yep.
The Book of the Dead 1 and 2, and then there's also the Book of Weapons and Hardware. So that's
the old handbooks, man.
That's what I use. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna sell these slabs. Lock and Key #1, signed by Stephen King's son.
Joe Hill, he's got a name.
Yeah, Joe Hill. Also, this is the first appearance of Peggy Carter as Captain Britain America. Going to be hot when the What If drops. And New Agents of Atlas #1, 9.8, signed by Miko Seiyuan, the first appearance of Wave, and a bunch of other folks. I got a bunch. I found a bunch of Michael Turner's, and I do believe it's the first variants he ever did for Image. It was Ballistic issues 1 through 3. And so I'm going to put together a Michael Turner lot. I have some other stuff that early Michael, as well as some stuff he did for DC. Also some stuff for, look at that gorgeous Witchblade. You don't see that too often. Another one, black and white. So I'm going to put together a nice Michael Turner lot, put them all together, and that'll probably be a stacker as well. I got a bunch of modern variants that, if you're still looking for this stuff, this is all the Star stuff. Boom. Venomized. I got a Lords of the Long Box spec list lot. That'll do. Basically, it has like a bunch of stuff we talked about. Excalibur. This, by the way, is the 325 variant. The regular cover is 350. That's right. I got some Spider-Mans. For Roger Levesque, I'm going to also be selling a bunch of hip-hop variants. I'll probably do 2 lots, 25 each. I have about 50 different variants on the first issues when they did the hip-hop variants.
Wow.
I may do these 2. I'm doing a lot of modern stuff. Personal. This is the scan one to get. There's another one here. There you go.
Ooh.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. Oh, hey, we've been talking about this. So that's just and then I'm gonna
show everything.
No, I didn't, because I got some slabs too, and then there's literally like 200 comics all over the floor. For those who were watching the channel earlier, I was testing Zoom. And it just went off weird, but I still got 137 views off it, even though I could not figure out Zoom for the life of me. And then it was going off of the wrong email address. It was just frustrating as hell, man. So All right, man. So we got a few more minutes. Let's do this quickly. Who's next?
I can go, or Zach, do you want to go? Doesn't
Go
matter.
ahead.
Too late. You're already
All
on
right,
screen.
I got-
Ryan.
I got a ton of stuff. Again, we won't go through everything, but I got a lot of. I saw on Mike's thing, everybody was liking Spawn, so I got like
There is a number
40,
of
50,
Spawn
60.
right around like 50 to 150 that not a lot of people got. Everybody has like 1 through 50, 1 through 100. There's
Yeah.
those weird issues that not a lot of people got, and they weren't like ordered in high numbers either.
Yeah, just some cool covers. I don't know. Probably sell these in stacks. If not, probably maybe the whole thing.
Look at that. Ooh. Nice covers, man.
Yeah, just some cool.
I think it's Steph Curry, man. So inspirational for those who know your memes.
So we'll have some Spawn books.
Damn, you ain't kidding.
I'll auction that.
Nice.
This is a 4.0.
That's badass.
Oh, did you already? Is that another copy you have?
I have an 8.0 slabbed.
Oh, 8.0 slab.
Oh, that's it.
Jeez.
I forgot about our friends watching on Facebook.
An Iron Man stack of books. Just so Iron Man 9. Just some old.
Nice. So people can walk out with some good Iron Man books tomorrow night.
Iron Man books.
Friday night.
Bunch of old Thor books. Some, nice Bronze Age Thors. I saw that.
Tattoos with it?
Newsstand with tattoos. Yep.
Oh. I might lose money on this auction.
And then just some Batman stuff. Death in the Family run.
Nice.
Nice little Joker lot I'm gonna do.
How much is the? Well, I think Ryan sets his auctions at typically $1 or $10. So
I let you guys start the bidding.
Boom, there you go. JLS Comics. They ask how much the Hawkman is.
See, Ryan's got the
All right.
bangers hanging around.
There we go. Tune in for the rest.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Before we see Zach's books, I just want to give a shout out to a friend of the show and one of the homies of the community, man. Ink Jedi, man, he's had his apartment burned down. If you guys can give, check out the GoFundMe. I just put in the live chat. Click on that and go help out the homie Ink Jedi from the Comic Book Fiend Club. They had their apartment burned down. So right now it's really rough finding any place to live, let alone get all your stuff back. So if you got some scratch, you can give to the homie, man. Click on the GoFundMe there to help out the homie Ink Jedi from the Comic Book Fiend Club. All right. And you ready, Zach?
Yeah.
All right. Slack 'em, jack 'em, flag 'em.
So I just got a bunch of little spec lots, stuff that we've talked about. Got a little Batman Detective Comics 1000 signed by Jim Lee.
That's
I like
dope.
that. That is a cool cover.
Right there with the certificate of authenticity there. Couple specs. The first female Ghost Rider.
Alejandra.
We got first Lockheed.
Oh, I just got that too.
Let's see, what are some other some DC specs we talked about, some Moon Knight, some Uncanny. Otto, did I see you were you just missing 210 on that lot? We might have to do a little team.
Yeah, we might have to jam that together,
Oh,
right?
and that's the first appearance of Morpheus is going to be in the Moon Knight series.
Yep. Got a little another X-Men spec here. First Uncanny X-Men title.
Nice. And if you guys, I don't know if we talked about that yet, but
Yeah.
we will talk about it.
Well, it's a good book to have.
Yeah,
By the
you
way,
might
it's
want to
the
think about
first
it.
time Uncanny was ever in the title of an X-Men book, so if you want to know.
And
On
then
the cover.
let's see what else I got. A little slab signed by Matt Wagner there.
That's
That
cool.
is dope.
And
Is that the old Red Hood penis head?
I think I'm also going to get rid of this guy.
Oh, Justin's gonna want another one.
This is probably I'm gonna say, man, this is a 9.6. I'd like 9.4.
Really?
9.6. I really honestly was gonna send it to CGC. There's probably like one ding on the spine here, maybe two. It's hard. I'm not a great
You're not a professional grader.
but it's a good copy, man.
On TV.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn.
So,
No, Matt, I
I
don't.
might throw in a couple other slabs that I got lying around also. So
Yeah, so that's just not it, boys and girls. Stay tuned because we're gonna have more larger Levesque. I will try to, well, if I have time, go through. I'm pretty sure I have at least 50 to 75 hip hop variants, and they're no, dude. They came out with so many, I had to stop taking them. And I found the hip hop family tree books. I'm gonna have. So I'm gonna put some of those up as well. I ran out of time today because I had that weird thing with Zoom. So I'm gonna, for those who like the hip hop variants and the hip hop family tree by Ed Pisner. I can never say his name. Anyway, you know it is the hip hop family trees that Otto was showing on 3 Men in the Basement. That slipcase, I need to get that now.
Yeah, that was Roger's thing.
That thing is hella dope, man.
Yeah.
So Friday. The auction will start at 5 p.m. Pacific, man. Ain't nobody got to work on Friday, nor do we have. And by the way, people on our social medias, we're going to be posting on there. I know Justin wanted to show some, but Justin had some stuff he had to take care of. So people on Nemesis Prime on Instagram, and then we will try to repost them as well and put them on Facebook. But everybody knows our Instagrams, so go to the Instagrams. So it all depends. I mean, everybody has different pricing, but typically we keep it cheap. So if put it this way. If you want to win, don't overbid by $1. Knock fuckers out of the box. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's bidding $10, you need to go up by 15 or 20. You know what I'm saying? Or else people are just going to play ticky-tack all day long. So it's an old school auction, meaning we don't set a timer. It's till the last man standing, until going once, going twice, and then sold. And that's the way it is. And then Saturday, I'm going to be super tired, but we're going to be doing a Comics, Tunes, and Toys live sale at 2 p.m. the following day. My God, I am going to be exhausted on Sunday. So check this out on Saturday, or excuse me, Friday at 5 p.m. for the auction, Saturday at 2 p.m. for the Comic, Tunes, and Toys live auction. And tomorrow, I'm going to have Ken Lashley and Wordburglar on, just to chit-chat, talk about what Ken Lashley's doing. I think he's going to do a original art commission and the auction, and the winner gets the piece of original art, and Ken Lashley's going to give all the profits to charity. And then my man Wordburglar is going to come on and talk about his new video that just dropped and some of the projects he's working on, and a new comic book he's working on. So it's going to be a Lords of the Great North takeover. So we got that. Any last words, Manimal?
No, just looking forward to this. We did have a question. Marvel Hunter asked if we're going to be shipping to Canada. We will be, but you will probably have to chip in a little bit extra for shipping for that.
Yeah, so you just got to pay the difference in shipping, and make sure, and before you bid, then just tell, because each seller may be different, but I can pretty much speak for all of us that we will at least ship to Canada. Hell, last time I shipped to New Zealand, I think.
Australia.
Oh my God.
Last words.
No, thanks very much for watching. In your meantime, head over to 3 Men in the Basement. I did the second part of my top 30 Raw books. Justin's got a bloopers video dropping soon, and I've got my top 10 Raw books coming. No live shows this week, definitely next Friday, because we got a lot of other things going on. So just pay attention, and thanks for watching tonight. And like I said, comment, share, and like all our videos on both channels. We're having a great time with this. Thank you, guys.
Ryan, any last words?
No, sir.
All right.
See you Friday.
See you guys Friday. Until next time, boys and girls, keep digging in them long boxes. Peace out.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.